Before this video starts, if you enjoyed this video, there are many more like it already on the channel with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I am trying to hit 125,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. So as we all know, yesterday the Miami Heat managed to win Game 5, making the series now a 3-2 lead in favor of the Los Angeles Lakers. And I, of course, made my reaction video about that, but I put most of my focus on the prospect of the Heat making a 3-1 comeback and what it would take for them to do that. But I wanted to take a different angle on this video on a similar topic, which is putting more of the focus on the Lakers and how they have to prevent this from happening, or what they can do to prevent this from happening. So I think there's a legitimate possibility that the Miami Heat actually mount this comeback, because I think the variety of factors of the bubble make a comeback like this less improbable than it is under normal circumstances. And I think with a team like the Miami Heat that is so perseverant and so good at rolling with the punches, if there's any team in the league that I could see making a 3-1 comeback in a finals game against a much better opponent talent-wise, it would be the Miami Heat. So as a result, I think the Lakers have legitimate cause for concern and legitimate reason to be worried about the outcome of this actual series. And as a result, they have to make some adjustments to make sure this Game 6, or at the very least, Game 7, rolls in their favor. So how do they do that? What are the adjustments they need to make? Well, first of all, Game 4, Anthony Davis guarded Jimmy Butler, and for the most part that worked after Game 3, where Jimmy Butler just completely tore apart the Lakers' defense. However, Game 5, Anthony Davis once more guarded Jimmy Butler, and he still had a 35-point triple-double on very good efficiency. So the one-on-one matchup with Anthony Davis initially worked in Game 4. However, in Game 5, Jimmy Butler had figured it out, and it wasn't much of an issue anymore. And the problem with that is that in that case, LeBron wasn't locking him up and Anthony Davis wasn't locking him up. That means both of your best defensive players, basically, at least your best matchups for Jimmy Butler at the very least, are not getting the job done. So what do? Well, I think the main reason why Jimmy Butler tore up the Heat in Game 3 was because A, he didn't have LeBron on him the whole time. A lot of it, the Lakers were just allowing a switch, and B, they weren't bringing help defense when they should have. So my main point, if I was Frank Vogel in that locker room, would be I want Anthony Davis guarding Jimmy Butler, and I want Jimmy Butler getting help put on him in the proper situations, because there are a lot of times where he's just allowed to isolate, and you simply can't let him do that. You especially can't let him go downhill without anyone in between him and the basket. The problem was in Game 5, even though I really only watched the fourth quarter, I was passively watching the other 3 quarters while playing Minecraft, and I actually hilariously had someone accuse me of being a box score journalist because I really only talked about the fourth quarter in this game because I wasn't watching the 3 quarters all that attentively. And A, I was getting diamonds in Minecraft. B, no, I'm not a box score journalist or any kind of journalist. And C, that's a stupid fucking argument because I barely even talked about the box score. But whatever, that's a completely irrelevant topic. So Jimmy Butler, the matchup, I would recommend Anthony Davis on him, and then you put a bunch of you bring help. What I was about to say when I got off tangent was Jimmy Butler. He was getting by Anthony Davis on the perimeter, and that became an issue because Anthony Davis is traditionally, and especially as they've been running smaller, the guy in the paint who's ready for a guy to attack the paint. So as a result, there were a lot of defenders on the Lakers scrambling to get in front of the basket or get a contest from behind, like as a chase down type thing. And a lot of the times it either wasn't working, or because the contest was late and the defense wasn't ready, it ended up being a foul. And I saw Frank Vogel complaining about the fouls, but really a lot of the fouls was because the Lakers defense was just caught out of position. And when you are out of position, you're going to have to make up for it by a foul because you don't want to give up the easy bucket. So that's kind of why that happens so often. Jimmy Butler, very rarely was he going straight up on someone. They were usually coming at him or coming from behind him, and as a result, he was able to draw a lot of fouls. So Anthony Davis needs to be on Jimmy Butler, and help defense needs to be ready. Now, Anthony Davis, I think, should continue to back up, let him take those three-point shots. If he makes them, he makes them. Pick your poison in that situation. But also, the reason he needs to back up because it needs to be ready for him in the paint. I would even say maybe don't put Anthony Davis on him and just allow him to be the help defender on him, because I mean, you need that. You need someone in the paint with Jimmy Butler, and putting Anthony Davis on him, even though he's been better on the perimeter guarding him than anybody else, it's kind of been an issue because Jimmy's biggest strength is getting downhill, and if he gets past Anthony Davis, there's really no one there ready for him, because Dwight Howard has been horrible in this series on both ends of the court, so that's not really been a solution. So maybe even just put LeBron on him again and have Anthony Davis serve as the help defender, and then have KCP or Danny Green or even Kyle Kuzma, though he's been a fucking idiot the last couple of games, but have them bring some help defense to give Jimmy Butler problems. Outside of that, you can't keep allowing these shooters to get open, especially Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, because they are knocking down their shots, or at the very least, sometimes they aren't knocking down their shots, and that's been working out in their favor, but it was inevitable that we were going to get a game like Game 5 where they finally were hitting their shots. This case, it was mostly Duncan Robinson, but Tyler Hero hit a couple big ones as well. But Duncan Robinson, they kept leaving him open, like, so much. This guy is the best shooter in the series by a country mile, and they're leaving him completely wide open, which is downright unacceptable. And I mean, he's not shot well so far outside of this game, but that's not an excuse to leave him wide open. So don't do that. Another thing they need to do. Unfortunately, this comes down to coaching, and Frank Vogel just simply is not a great coach, but the Lakers are very easily getting duped into doing what the Miami Heat want them to do. I've made this point about the Heat in the past, that they're not the most talented team in terms of just pure skill and talent of players. However, they're a very smart team, and they're a very detail-oriented and hustle and, no low-effort bullshit type of team. And as a result, they're very good at making teams uncomfortable. And because Eric Spoelstra is such a good coach, he is very good at putting teams in positions to make decisions they don't want them to play. Basically, the Lakers are playing on the Heat's terms. They're not really getting in the way of what the Heat want them to do. Even when the Lakers are beating them, they're doing it on the Heat's terms. They're like, well, we're going to let you beat us this way. If you beat us this way, then that's fair and square, but we're not going to give you this easy stuff. And that's great coaching on the part of Eric Spoelstra, but a great counter to that would be doing your best to make sure the Heat are playing to your terms, and that has not been happening in this series whatsoever. I don't know exactly how you do that, because I know how Eric Spoelstra is doing it, and he's doing it brilliantly. Like, for example, end of Game 5, the whole reason why that whole Danny Green debacle happened, and I actually have a video kind of in relation to that coming out tomorrow, more so about LeBron James and all that, but we'll worry about that when I get to it. The reason that play happened is because the Heat were like, look, this is not going to be a LeBron play. Or at least, you know what I mean? It's not going to be LeBron hitting a game-winning shot. We're going to have you beat us outside of LeBron, and it's not going to be in LeBron's hands to win this game. Even though they got a good look for Danny Green, that's not the best play in the world with how god-awful Danny Green has been in this series. So that's rough. I also think you need to be just better at forcing the issue a little bit, getting through and just powering through their defense. Anthony Davis is taking a lot of mid-range jump shots, and I understand that Bam Adebayo is a good defender, but I really think even if you're forcing it a little bit, getting Anthony Davis in the paint more would not only get Bam in foul trouble, but it would also just allow you to enforce your will upon the Miami Heat rather than just doing what they want you to do. Every time when you're guarding Anthony Davis and he takes a fadeaway mid-range jump shot from 16 feet out, as good as he is at making them, that's a victory for the defense whether he makes it or not. Now, in the playoffs thus far, he has just been not missing from mid-range, so it's not been as consequential as it could be for the Lakers. But the fact of the matter is, Anthony Davis is no better than like 55% from mid-range, and He's a better than 70% at the basket, like I think a good bit better. And if I'm a defense defending Anthony Davis, I am perfectly content with that 55% probability of him making it over the 70%. So I would say try to force Anthony Davis in the paint more. LeBron, even though he was hitting three-pointers in this game, I think could be a little bit more aggressive. I think really it's mainly just guarding Jimmy Butler better by bringing help and making sure there are people in the paint ready for him when he goes downhill. And it's also enforcing your will upon the Miami Heat rather than playing their game. Rather than letting the Heat determine what you're going to do, you determine what you're going to do. Unfortunately for the Lakers, Eric Spoelstra is a significantly better coach than Frank Vogel. So that second thing, and even that first thing, is not as likely as it should be if you had a better coach. However, I do think it's possible for them to make these adjustments, and even then, I think it's pretty likely they win this series. And even if they don't make these adjustments, however, I do think they should make adjustments, and I don't think they should just stand idly by, just being like, "Hey, we're the Lakers, we're the better team. We had a 3-1 lead. Obviously, we're going to win this one." Because the Golden State Warriors had that exact mentality, and you watched game by game as they continued to let the Cleveland Cavaliers inch closer, and then by the time they were in Game 7, it was like, holy shit, we're in a Game 7 right now? This is a 3-1 series, and then we saw how that worked out. So you can't let the Heat keep creeping up on you. You have to get them now. You should have got them last game, and you didn't. And I understand that game came close, and Anthony Davis had injury, and that's another cause for concern. But they need to enforce their will upon the Heat, and they need to guard Jimmy Butler better. So those are my two solutions to not blowing a 3-1 lead. Ultimately, I picked the Lakers in 6, and I'm still sticking by that. I think they win Game 6, but I also thought they were going to win Game 5, and I thought that would be that after the start of this series, and we've seen how that's gone. So just stop dilly-dallying. You need to close out this series correctly. And they've just been kind of like being passive about it. Even though LeBron had 40 points, it was like there were times where it was like, dude, go inside the paint more, or force your will upon the Heat more. Anthony Davis, I'll give him a pass this game because he was injured, but there's been games in the series, even when he was shooting 70% from the field and they won the game, it's like you could be forcing yourself against the Heat a little bit more. And I think that's the prominent issue for them in this series is the Heat have been playing on their terms. And even if they're a less talented team, that talent is the reason why they are at a deficit, it's made up for that deficit quite significantly. So Lakers are probably going to be fine, but they need to make some adjustments, and those are some ideas I have. If you want to support this content outside of your like and subscription, I have a Patreon where you can go give me some money and get some extra content there every 2 weeks. Also, my Twitter is at nearly 10,000 followers. If you want to see me tweet about random-ass shit, basketball, and about how Kenny, King of the Fourth Quarter, insinuated that he would like to sleep with the female version of myself, you can go follow me on Twitter for some weird shit like that. I'm nearly at 10,000 followers, and I want 10,000 followers, so go follow me over there. And yeah, that's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.